Hey guys, this is my video on the average value of a function, and you know what, we'll just get right into it. So the average value of a function, so it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the average of all values of a particular function on a closed interval. So you got your closed interval from a to b, you're going to use this formula here to calculate that average value. Very straightforward, and you have to evaluate this definite integral here. Now, one thing I just want to mention, I am only going to use known area formulas for this video to calculate my definite integrals, so you will see me do it in a slightly different way. You can of course use standard integration techniques to integrate if you would prefer to use those, but if you're in my class and just where we are right now, then that's what we've got to do. So without further ado, let's just jump right into an example. So if you have to find the average value without actually knowing an integration formula, then the way that you would do this is you could actually just graph it and find the area of the picture, really. So let's see. So this is this square root of 1 minus x squared. This is actually the formula for a semicircle. So yeah, this would be the formula for a semicircle. All right. So I need to figure out the area of this. So just the area of a semicircle. So if I just start with this area, well, I know that the area of a circle is pi r squared. Therefore, if I just want half of that, I'll just divide it by 2. So then I just have to determine what's the radius of this, which the radius of this is 1. So this is pi times 1 squared divided by 2. So we'll just say that this equals pi over 2. Okay, so there's that. So now if I want to actually use my area formula, so I'm going to use the average value of this. However, that area that I just found, that will be the value of the definite integral. So I'll show you kind of all the steps now that go into this. So let's see, I need to take 1 over b minus a from a to b of f of x dx. Okay, so now I'm going to plug in stuff. So this will be 1 over 1 minus negative 1, and then I need to find the value of this integral, which I already found this value. That is just going to go right there. And then I'm just going to multiply that times the value of this. The value of this is going to equal 1/2. So ultimately this will come down to 1/2 times pi over 2. So all of this will just equal pi over 4. So that would be the average value of that function. So that's kind of all the pieces, and that's how you would do it if you don't have integral formulas. Okay, so here's one more for you. So in this case, so once again, I want to graph it. Maybe you want to pause the video and try this on your own and then hit play when you're ready. So if I do this, so let's see, I can draw a straighter graph than that. Let's see, here's 1, 1, here's negative 1. So here's my function in this case. And now I can actually kind of tweak a little bit how we think about the definite integral. So notice in this case, so what would make sense here is that the average value of this particular function is going to be negative, right? Because all of the values are below the x-axis. So this is going to be a little strange, I realize this, but we're going to like calculate this area of this function or of this shape. Just we have to make sure that it ends up being negative, right? That's kind of the idea behind this. So if I just wanted to get to kind of this just the area of this, so we'll just say this area. So we'll just take that 1/2 base times height since it's a triangle. So that's going to be 2 times 1, so this ultimately just all equals 1. Okay, so that would be, if I was just asking for the area of this shape, that would be the area. However, I'm not asking for the area, I'm asking for the average value. So since this falls below the x-axis, this is actually going to be negative. So this needs to be a negative value. Okay, so let's just interpret this maybe now using our integration formula. So I'm just going to plug everything in. So I've got 1 over 1 minus negative 1 times the definite integral from negative 1 to 1 of my f of x dx. So this will be 1/2 times negative 1. because all of the values under this end up being negative. So it's like you're still taking the area formula, but you've got to make it negative because all the values are negative. So you can multiply those together and then you get negative 1/2 as your value. And then maybe just as like a short aside, so what if I had a function, so just to be slightly more clear about this, what if I was like trying to find the value of this function? So let's say this is my a, and what if this were my b? So now what would you do? So in that case, you could find the area of this, and you know that would be negative, and then you could add it to the area of this, which you know would be positive. So you could kind of break this up into two different parts. So you could evaluate this part here from A to C, and then this part here from C to B, and add those up to get to the average value. So hopefully that also clears that up. So that's actually all I have for this particular video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to just drop those in the comment section, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time.